Good afternoon, everyone. We are back for our last session today. It's the invited speaker, Professor Jürgen Pill. First, some informations. On Thursday, we have a trip to Chapada Imperial. Those who want to go, they need to book today the trip for Thursday with Professor Felipe. Please raise your hand. So if you want to go there on Thursday, you should talk to him today after the session. Okay? And after the session, we have today the bus will take us from here and live in the hotel. And then at 7:15, they will take you back to our dinner. That will be a Brazilian barbecue at the Clube do Congresso. So you'll have time to take a shower, relaxing a little bit, and then we have our special dinner today. Okay? So, Professor Jürgen Pill.
Thank you very much. And okay, I'm doing from sitting. You don't have to see me, but slides. Okay. What I'm going to talk about is some aspects of computer science and sport, of course, and with a special focus on computer-assisted tactical analysis in soccer. Let me go a little bit back in time. In the early days, computers were very slow, very rare, and the data ability was very poor. So we were forced to brain work, not so much computer work, but brain work, and we had to develop functional models to analyze, for instance, sports or games or something like this. So we took biometric models from physics, which are in the biomechanics currently also are used. We took state event models from operations research, and we took two-persons zero-sum games from mathematics or economics. The information, of course, we got from our analysis was very poor too, because we don't have any data, or nearly no data. We used statistical models and for distributions, correlations, so on. And yeah, it was very difficult to get any results. Later, at the end of the last century, data ability was much better because computers were less expensive and more powerful. So computer work took a very significant part of the work in relation to brain work. The problem was that also now the information we could take from the data was rather poor. And we discussed this in our second symposium in Vienna, when first approaches with databases and so on came to sports science. And the problem was really to detect information in the heap of data we got from the databases. Now, the situation has changed completely. We can get more data than we can work with. Data ability is no problem at all. Computers are no problem at all. The problem is that the work has changed to the computer and not so much anymore with the brain. You know, the developing of models has decreased in comparison to analyze data with a computer. Okay, so we have clouds of data, and we have problems to find significant information in this huge amount of data? And the answer is key performance indicators. Key performance indicators are very simple numbers, very easy to detect and to calculate, but what do key performance indicator tell us about, say, games? What does the maximum speed of a player over a game does tell to the coach? From my point of view, nothing. The same with the running performance. If a player is running much, he's a good runner, but doesn't say anything about whether he is a good player. Same with ball possession rate, with number of passes, with mean pass length, with number of pass players, or with compactness. These are all very simple numbers mapping a whole complex game with all its dynamics on just one number. I will give you an example, not from sports, to show you what the effect of counting numbers is. You can recognize it's not sports, but fine arts. And that is a picture of Miro, Nord d'Azur. And this example is taken from Ursus Verli, who made a book in English, Clearing Up Art. And okay, have first a view on this picture, on this painting. You see different objects, colors, dynamics, composition of objects, and so on and so on. And there is some kind of rhythm between the objects and so on. So whether you like the picture or not, you see there is some dynamics in it. And what he did with this nice picture is he made a statistic analysis of it. So you have one blue point, one big blue point, some smaller black points, some spirals, some lines ordered in their lengths, and so on and so on. So very nice, very clean, and can you see any of the dynamics of the picture? I think you can't. Okay, and this is exactly what I mean. This is statistics and key performance indicators, but they do not represent what they're taken from. Another example from sports, from football, ball possession rate. Well known as tiki-taka playing. That is a very brief mathematical analysis of about the performance or the success of tiki-taka. So say ball possession rate is a percentage of time when a team is controlling the ball. So if the team is controlling the ball 54 minutes from the game, you can calculate the 60%. Okay? Fine. Then the exploiting rate. What is the team doing with the ball during the time it's possessing it? That is a percentage of ball possession time when a team is generating dangerous situations. That means situations which have a chance to get a goal with. And then you can calculate very easy the success value as a percentage of being successful, say the product of the percentages, okay? There's a formula. So Now you have two teams and you can calculate the success value of both of the teams. And then you can ask, what is the success expectation of one of the team? Obviously, the difference of the success values. So, that means if the success value of A is smaller than the success value of B, the success expectation of A is negative, meaning no chance to win. The graphic below shows that in the case that the exploiting rate of A is by about 10%, and this of team B 20%, so the success expectation of A is negative as long as the ball possession rate is smaller than 67%. And it becomes positive, and in a safe way means with 2.5 percentage points it becomes positive. But that means then A has to have a ball possession rate of 75%. That is not really realistic. Here are some calculations in details with the same parameters. So if A has a ball possession rate of 55%, with the exploiting rate of 10%, then the expectation is minus 3.5, and only if the ball possession rate is increasing above 75%, then we have a real chance to win the game. Unfortunately, in the game Germany against France in the last European Championship, you can say the exploiting rate of Germany was about 5%, and the exploiting rate of France was about 20%. So altogether, to win the game, Germany had to have a ball possession rate of 80 to 90%. Absolutely no chance to win the game. Why is it so? In the special case of this game, Germany had a high ball possession rate, but always under pressure, while the France team played with fast counter-attacks and then had a lot of space and a lot of time to develop their chances. One example to do it better. First, a bad example. This is a pass. That means a pass from player A1 to player A2, passing 3 opponent players. Don't know whether it's good or bad, but even if it was good, 3 pass players, yeah, maybe is good, but don't tell you anything because you don't know in what game context this pass was played. Yeah? Whether it was a good decision to pass the ball to player A2. Possibly the player A2 was under big pressure and could not handle the ball, and was a bad decision to play this pass. And was it a good pass of A1 relative to his skills and so on? That is depending on what pressure he had. If there was no opponent players close to him, no indicator of quality. So adding these context information, you get a quite different impression. we can define the pressure efficiency, of course, first of all, by the number of passed players, PP, passed players. And then an important role plays the distance of the closest opponent players to the receiving player A2. If this distance is large, then it was a good decision to pass the ball to him, because he has room enough, or space enough, to act and to play another pass. On the other hand, for player A1, that is an indicator of his good skills if he was able to play a good pass, even if the distance to the closest player, opponent player, was small. So this makes clear what the formula says. So what we did is we embedded the model of passing opponent players in the context of the dynamics of the game. And that is the point. Another example, more complex. You see the pitch, the football field, and I have to explain what you see. The green lines are the lines of the 30-meter areas, what we can call the attacking areas. Yeah, so the white area there is the attacking area of Team B, and the left green area is the attacking area of Team A. Then the red areas are the penalty areas, and the dots, the blue dots you see, that's square meters, grids of square meters. And the cells you can see, these are Voronoi cells. So if you have, for instance, no, it doesn't work. So I show you. Take, for instance, player B7. Then this cell here is a space he is controlling, because he can be faster at any point of this area than any other player. So this is the cell B7 is controlling. This is the cell B8 is controlling. And all the blue dots are the points Team B is controlling. And the yellow ones means the area that Team A is controlling. That's helping a lot to understand whether an attack could be successful or not, but this one picture here is just a snapshot. And one first step to make it better is, we cannot of course, to move it like a video. So to see what happens, how is the space control developing, how are the positions of the players are changing, what about the ball, and so on. Doing it this way is instructive, but on the other hand, is very similar to watching video. It takes a long time to recognize all the different situations. What we did is we made profiles of it. So that is a part of the first half of a game. And now I have to explain again what's happening. Team A, you can say, is playing from top to bottom. The red profiles here means the space control rates in the percents on the left-hand side. The green in the penalty area, the green in the attacking area, and the same with Team B, playing from bottom to top. also with the percentages of space control, red in the opponent penalty area, green in the opponent attacking area. What we have now is a compact view on the attacking behavior of both of the teams in their rhythm. And on the first view, it seems that Team A and Team B are not so very different. They're very similar. You see, Team A is attacking, Team B is attacking, Team A is attacking, and so on. And only we have some more attacks from Team B than from Team A, about 50% more. So far, so good. What does it say? Are the teams similar, or have the same quality or not? And are they dangerous or not? Are they successful? It's difficult to say. But now the situation becomes quite different and much clearer. The added violet lines means the situations where the respective team has ball control in the attacking area. And now we can see two very interesting facts. First, Team B has much more ball control than Team A has, first. And second, the ball control of B is correlated to the space control of B. While here, the space control, for instance, has no correlated ball control. And that's quite easy to see. If you want to be dangerous in the opponent attacking area, it does not help if you have space control without ball. And on the other hand, it does not help if you have ball control without space. So a very important point is that ball control and space control is correlated to each other. There's a quite easy formula from economics. That means efficiency is success divided by effort. Quite clear. You immediately can transform it to success is effort times efficiency. And now you can ask, in the example of these profiles, what means effort and what means efficiency. Efficiency, from our point of view, is quite easy to say. That is the correlation of space control and ball control. This is efficient. If I have attacking events where I have as well space as ball control, this is an efficient attack. What is the effort? This is the number of all events, attacking events, where we have either ball or space control. So it's quite easy to calculate, as you see in the formula in the green field. And so we can define something like attacking success. And here we see that the passes embedded in the context of the game play in a way a role, because the pass is efficient if a player, the own player gets the ball with a long distance to the nearest or closest opponent player. And that means to get the ball, to have ball possession with space control. And that is successful. Not to have the ball or not to have the space, but to get to play a pass to a player with generating space control. Back to the game, Germany versus France. And the first part I have explained. Now comes the second part. No, doesn't work. Germany's Team A had a very high ball control, but a very low space control. So the attacking success was low, while France had rather low ball control, but with its counterattacks a very high space control. So in the result, a better attacking success. And if Germany would have want to win, it had to increase its space control by far. So these are some examples to demonstrate why it is necessary to embed indicators in the context of the game. Even then, or only then, you can understand and you can calculate what happens, and you can analyze why something didn't work. So if we go a step further, we can try to even more modeling using the dynamics of the game. Starting with position data, velocities, tracks, areas, distribution statistics, we come to the recognition of dynamic patterns of the processes. Coaches do know this, that it is necessary to have a feeling for the processes. Here, for instance, an original table from a coach. He has 3 levels of analysis: the position of the player, the formations the players form, for instance, defense, offense, and the processes which change the formations. It's a quite easy view on the game, and we can model this using neural networks. We take the formations, and what does it mean? We can reduce the number of players to a formation of players. That means to reduce the players to a so-called super player. So we reduce 11 players to just 2 formations: defense formations, offense formations. And we try, or we let the artificial neural network find out what types of formations are significant in the game. Here, for instance, we have 4 very similar defense formations, which are recognized by the neural networks as one significant type. So here are the results from the network analysis. We have lots, about 15, 20 of different types of, in this case, defense formations of Team A and offense formations of Team B. And we can do some analysis, and we can ask how often was the offense formation 3 of Team B answered by defense formation 2 of Team A. And below the picture it shows what does it mean, offense of Team B and defense of team A. That was the interaction, in this case, between team A and team B. You can ask how successful it was. And the answer is 14% of interactions of A defense type 2 against B offense type 3 were successful. And the coach can ask now if only 14% of these interactions were successful, why do not the much more successful formation 4? I don't know, and the coach don't know, and we only know that if in this game Team A had chosen the formation type 4, it was much better. And we can compare the formations, and the coach now can analyze why this was the case. So that is not that is just a simulation-based analysis, but this is not a prediction. It is only a result for the played game. And if your coach would say, okay, that's perfect, in the next game I tell my players to play formation 4 against formation 3, that is not necessarily that it would be successful. It's not a prediction, but only simulation-based analysis. And that is good, because if we could predict all the results, games were not thrilling anymore, and in the European Championship we had surprising results that, for instance, England, Belgium, Austria, which were favorites, became loser, and Wales and Iceland, which were absolutely underdogs, became winner. So that is a thrilling fact of football games, and you cannot predict anything. Why not? Why can't you predict anything or everything? Here, as a little example from mathematics, which can make clear why it is so difficult to predict from dynamic system from the present to the future. We have recorded data of a mystic function. Don't tell you what it is. What about the future behavior? What can we do? We take the data and try to interpolate them, to approximate them by any function. Let's do it. We take a parabola, and we find out the right parameters, and the result is the parabola seems to be a perfect matching, a perfect approximation of the given function with very low deviation. But what we did is we only took the external behavior. We didn't know anything about how the data were developed. And so we don't know anything about the internal dynamics. And if we take the internal dynamics, then we see that the function originally was in a combination of E function, describing natural growth. And that means that if we leave the range of the given data, we immediately have large deviations, and we see that our approximation doesn't work at all. You cannot approximate a natural growing function, exponential function by a parabola. It's absolutely nonsense. So that is what I mean. If you have a complex system with internal dynamics and you try to approximate or simulate it with just external view, you cannot be successful. So what I wanted to say is even the best computers do not have to solve a problem if you do not know what the problem is. Okay? Now, I changed a little bit from football to other Olympic competition. This is 8 years ago. Olympic Games, and a famous runner ran the 100 meters in 9.69. That was unexpected, unbelievable, and it seemed to be the absolute limit of what a runner could run. We analyzed it with a very simple model and found out that after the acceleration phase and before the deceleration phase, the runner had about 60 meters of a very, very high speed. And we thought, okay, no wonder that phase was only 60 meters because this high speed is a very high load. Nice. Some days later, the same runner ran the 200 meters in 19.30. How can we compare these two results? Again, we took the acceleration phase and we took the deceleration phase, and then in the range between, we had the same high speed, but now over a distance of 130 meters. What does it mean? That means that this deceleration was not necessary at all. He was able to run this speed 130 meters and had not to stop after 60 meters. Okay? Taking this into the simulation, we could simulate that without any deceleration, the runner could have run the 100 meters in 9.40. And even with some deceleration, because of some effect of seeing the finish and so on, you would have 9.55. And yeah, the coach said, in an optimal race, 9.52 is possible. And in fact, 1 year later, he ran 9.58. So this is a situation where, by analysis, you can simulate and predict. And you can ask, why did he not run his perfect run at this moment? Don't know. Another example, where prediction is necessary. If you have the situation of, say, running, biking, where on a longer distance performance is very high, it is necessary to have an idea how high the performance, the load can be to avoid a sudden breakdown. Okay? So what we need is are models which can predict the relation or interaction between performance, load and performance. Our model here very simply explained is you have load. The load is feeding a fatigue potential and a recovery potential from where the performance potential is fed in a negative and in a positive way. The fatigue reduces performance and the recovery increases performance. So, now to the Olympic Games. If an athlete is preparing for the Olympic Games, his coach tells him you have to improve your training to get your high performance exactly during the Olympic Games in your competition. The problem is the ability is not unlimited. So you can start to perform here, but your performance will not reach the point you try to get to or the coach tries to get you to. The reason is that with the load, with increasing load, the physiological recovery delay is increasing as well. And this decreases the level of reachable performance. That's a pity. What can we do? We can simulate. If we could, howsoever, if we could optimize the recovery delay in a way that it is not increasing but decreasing, we had no problem to reach the maximum performance. The only question is, how can you optimize your recovery delay? I think there are some ideas you have. I have some too. The second question is, isn't it academic? It isn't. Also 8 years ago in the Olympic Games, a swimmer had his competition on 400 meters. And the analysis of his swimming was that from lane to lane, he became faster. And we tried to simulate this and found out that the only way to simulate it with a physiological model is that the recovery delay was decreasing during the competition. That's mystic. But there are some ways to explain, and some of you will know how we can get it to work. Okay, so far, and yeah, that's what I wanted to tell you. And I wish you a happy Olympic Games, and I want, don't give doping a chance, and may the better one win. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you, Professor Jürgen, for the great lecture. Now we have time for questions. Yes.
So thank you. That was wonderful, Professor. I really enjoyed it. Can we go back? You had a slide where you were talking about formations, in off the neural net stuff, and there's a point at which it looks arbitrary to me. Go where you drew the circles around the formations. You made them 4 and 2. Do you remember that slide? Yeah, and then you drew a circle there, that one. So they're not circles, sorry. The lines. So I'm looking at the one on the left in the green, and it's 8, 5, 7, 6 in a little line. But if I look to the right, I see 5, 8, 7, 6 in a line. But they're not grouped the same way. So I'm just don't quite understand how the grouping happens.
Okay. The absolute number of formations of formation 4 of Team B was 183. And these are the percentages of successful successful formations against the attacking formations of Team A. You have to notice that we have just 15 formations. Altogether, it were much more. It were about 25 formations. So, yeah, you have a lack of percentages and numbers.
So the way the lines are drawn around
the lines here, yeah.
right.
Mm.
Why didn't in formation 2? Why don't we group 2, 3, and 4 the same way we did in formation 4?
Yeah. I'm not a football coach, so that is fantasy. I saw there is a difference in the structure. Here, to me, it seems that the two lines are of importance, while here, it seems to me that this group and two isolated players characterize the structure. A coach may see that different. That is only to give an example. What is happening? This is the result, and the result has to be interpreted by the trainer, by the coach. And that could be one of his interpretations.
Does the computer draw the lines, or do you draw the lines?
I draw it with
You
my
drew the
hand.
lines.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you looked at these formations and then categorized.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and only to demonstrate what the work of the coach has to be then, to find out what is the reason why this formation 4 is more successful than formation 2.
Any other question?
Yeah, I'd like to go to the 100-meter example. These are sensational findings if this could be confirmed. And my question is, what is the data this study is based on? Is it 10-meter intermediate times, or what is the data?
Yeah, we simulated under the our model was that just that you have an acceleration phase, that you have a phase of constant, very simple model, a phase of constant speed and a phase of deceleration. And you have parameters to describe these phases, and then you can optimize that you, with acceleration, constant speed, deceleration, you can reach exactly the time.
Yep. And the
That's all.
same way you analyze the 200 meters.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
More questions?
So do you have the data for that 200-meter race?
Not anymore.
Somebody must do that, right? Doesn't somebody take data like that at every meter?
They no, but they have the International Amateur Athletics Federation. They have some data from track and field for 100 meters and 200 meters, with 10 meters. 10 meters. Each 10 meters, they have the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
As far as I know, they have for 100 meter, they do it with a laser distance measurement, and they have continuous measurement, and they report the 10 meters intermediate times. but they do not have this for 200 meters because they turn and they cannot do it with this technology. Right now we are starting a project with fixing sensors to the sprinter and trying to get it. And this will be very interesting because this finding is sensational.
Jung, as you can imagine, I really like your concepts of ball control and space control, and you're talking of dangerous situations. What would you think if there's more space control? Would you say that this situation is more dangerous then? Is it something you have to maximize? What's the position here?
No. As I explained, it's not space control alone, and it's not ball control alone, but the correlation between them is of importance. If you have a lot of space control and you don't have the ball in the attacking area, you can't be successful.
But imagine we have both together. We have space control and ball control.
Yeah, right.
To say that more space control means more dangerosity, more dangerousness?
That is, if you remember the game Germany-France, they had a lot of ball control, German players, but they were always under high pressure. Yeah? So without space control, you cannot develop dangerous situations. Yeah?
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Professor. Thanks for your talk. There is a paper by Professor Michael Varlet, and he basically found coordination tendencies between Usain Bolt's and Tyson Gay's strides. And my question is, do you think that the opponent he's running against could be part of the model, I mean, in order to predict future performances?
I would rather say no. To predict a future development of performance.
Yeah, if you assume that that the sprinters will usually coordinate their strides, I mean the best ones, I mean the top level ones probably.
It's a difficult question, I think. We have, in the past we had analysis, Martin Lames knows very well, 20 years ago, the Arcus Tangens model. There are so many effects and aspects of developing performance. In particular, doping. Yeah? And you can say, 20 years ago, what I meant was that suddenly the shot putters increased from 21 to 24 meters during 2 weeks, 2 years, you know, and nobody could explain. But nowadays we know that was doping, and a lot of analysis was done to analyze what is the limitation, and there were very incredible models that the limitation of shot put is about 26, 27 meters. Okay, so that is a problem. If, for instance, material is changed, don't know what is Stabhochsprung. Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you have different material, better material, you can increase your performance a lot. And you cannot predict what is happening next year in this area.
Any other questions? No? So thank you, Professor Jürgen Pill. So that's all for today. Now for those who want to go to the hotel, the bus is going to leave in 10 minutes. So you go to the hotel and then we meet at the barbecue, okay, at 7:30. 7 o'clock, the bus will leave from the hotel to the restaurant. 7.